Victoria 3, a game about mainly European nations doing European things and colonizing Africa. But not today, boys, because today we're gonna be playing as Japan, alright? Japanese shogunate time, boys. We are not a recognized major power, sadly, but we're gonna work on achieving great power status as we go along in this game. We start with a very small GDP, a pretty decent population at 31 million, and with literacy at 21%, that's almost the same as modern America, isn't it? I'm just joking, it's probably higher. Okay, seriously, it's a joke, okay? Don't shoot at my school, please, American people. So now we have a few issues, right? Japan starts off as an isolated nation. Basically, we have a closed market. We cannot trade with anybody. So that means all of this income here is the result of taxes and minting. That's it. We cannot get money from tariffs, we cannot get money from exporting goods, and that is a massive debuff. However, in order to trade with other nations, it is going to take a little bit of time. It is going to be a process. We're going to have to change some of our government legislation here, our laws, and go from isolationist, which has 61% approval right now, to either protectionism or mercantilism. Free trade would not be the most optimal, because even though we're trading with other nations, we're not getting tariffs for any of those goods. So that means we're not making money by default. We have to actually have a profit, and it's mainly aimed at ruining our economy from building certain buildings that we don't have the goods with. I'll explain more about that as we go along in this campaign. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna research colonialism. We need to get colonization and have enacted our colonial laws so we can colonize the northern bits here in the Ainu, Mosir, and Sakhalin. The problem is that Russia starts with colonializations from day one, so it's very likely that they will colonize both of these before we even research colonialization. That's the case. Tough tomatoes, what can I do? We just have to declare war on the Russians and take this from them. We're gonna first set our declared interest, and we're gonna have our interest set in the Indonesian area, because we also want to do our little bit of colonization in Indonesia with the island of Sulawesi, since we can start building in this island a few really vital goods like dyes, like banana plantations and so on. Stuff that we cannot build in our own island. We also start with insufficient taxation in every single state that we have. If you click on any state, it shows that right now we're using 786 out of 248 of our taxation capacity. That is because we have a huge population in all of our states compared to the amount of bureaucracy that we have available there. So that means we have only 7 governing administration buildings in Kansai, but we would probably need about 35 to fully tax everybody here. In order to get 35 of those, we would pay a lot for those bureaucrats, so we would end up, even though the taxation would be more efficient, it would not actually pay off for all of those extra bureaucrats. So until we research better technology to get better tax efficiency, there's no point even thinking about our taxation issues right now. Our main issue is the fact that this is everything we have in our country. That means these are all the goods that we are producing right now in our country. So if we need something else that we are not producing here, it's going to cost ridiculously high amounts to get those goods, because we are not an industrialized nation and we're still relying on very basic construction methods. It is going to cost us a lot of wood and fabric, so basically wood needed, my lord, whenever we build absolutely anything in our country, just for the construction sector. Speaking of the construction sector, we only have 9 construction points, so we need to get more. That's why I'm going to be building an extra 8 construction sectors, 4 of them in Chubu and 4 of them in Kansai. These are the first construction things we're gonna do, because we do need to improve the amount of speed that we get when constructing. Afterwards, we are gonna be switching over and we're gonna be building some tooling workshops. We are not producing any tools whatsoever in our country right now, and we need to be producing tools. So 2 tooling workshops in Kansai should be fine for now, since it is gonna be a massive strain on our economy when we produce the tooling workshops. We are getting 8,000 ducats, and we need to get more money, since, well, 8,000 ducats is not really much. The easy way to do that is to add some consumption tax. We're gonna go with services consumption tax. Take note, consumption tax costs authority points, 100 authority points for liquor, so let's add that one in as well, and 100 for tobacco. If you're gonna be smoking in my country, you gotta pay the tax, all right? That's just how it goes. We have 700 authority still, because we're a very authoritarian nation, let's say. Usually the more absolute monarchy style nation or authoritarian nation, the more more authority points you get, and vice versa. So if you're a republic, democracy, you're not going to get that many authority points. I feel like 3 consumption taxes is more than enough. We managed to increase our income by 10,000 ducats, but now we also need to use up the rest of the authority points. How are we going to do that? Well, because in these 2 states here, we are constructing things, and we only are constructing in these 2 states for the time being, since these 2 states have really high population, 5.8 million in Chubu, 7.8 million in Kansai. So because of that, we're going to right click on these, and we're going to be clicking on road maintenance. This increases the state construction efficiency by 10%. So what does that do? Well, if you go over to the construction queue, it's going to make this a little bit faster. And because we still have a lot of authority points, we're going to use more of these edicts. One edict costs 100 authority points, and there's different bonuses like services, manufacturing industry bonuses, agriculture, and industrial bonuses, as well as resource bonuses. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set up the resource bonus for every single state outside of the 2 states where I'm building stuff right now, because I need extra resources. 20% throughput for resources is going to help quite a lot, since remember, we're not able to import stuff right now from other countries. So whenever we have a lack of a certain good, it's going to cost significantly more, and it's going to be a strain on our economy. Politics wise, we also want to enact a few politics like the dedicated police force, the professional army, and the National Guard. And it is going to take quite a lot of time to get these enacted, especially since we don't have too much endorsement for these laws. The higher the endorsement, the easier it is to pass a specific legislation. The lower the endorsement, you guessed it, the lower the chance of passing it. I am going to hold off on this because I want to start my first legislation change to be the colonial resettlement after we've researched colonialization, in the hopes that I can colonize this before the Russians. Most of the times the Russians get this, and I have to declare war around the 1850, 1860s when my army is ready for that. Speaking of my army, if we go to the construction tab, development, you can see that right now we have irregular infantry that offers 10 offense, 15 defense. It is pretty trash, not gonna lie. It's ridiculously easy to kill these boys, and everybody else in the world either has line infantry or skirmish infantry that literally has double the amount of attack and defense as our troops have. So we're not gonna be messing with anyone right now, since we would not be able to hold our own. Take note, whenever you change any of these units, so we are able, for example, to change from infantry focus to artillery cannons, it is going to cost us 6,000 ducats. And I know they're called pounds, but I'm going to call them ducats for the entirety of my YouTube career, because I shall forever be an EU4 shill. Anyway, the point is that it costs so much extra substitution because we do not have any artillery. We're not producing any artillery in our country, and if we were to produce artillery, it cost us iron and it would cost us coal. We do not have any iron and coal, so we need to build iron mines, coal mines. But before we build these, we need more lumber mines and we need tooling workshops. A good way of improving the amount of wood that we get is to change to sawmills, but sawmills take up tools. We don't have tools, but we are in the process of building tools workshops, which in turn are going to cost iron to produce the tools. So yeah, after we finish the tools workshops, we're going to be building some iron mines. It's a complicated system when it comes to your economy, but the reason I also chose to show you guys this sort of situation as Japan is because Japan is a closed economy. So literally, if you do not have a specific good, it's going to kill your economy. So you need to build that particular good to not destroy your economy. So I think it's a great nation to show off the economic aspect of this game, since, you know, the game is mainly focused on the economic aspect at the end of the day, right? We're also going to improve relations with the Joseon and with the Great Qing. I don't really have any alliances right now, and I'd rather get some. So whatever I can in Asia get some extra relations with, I will. I also am going to try and get relations with the Brits. As you can see, we already have the issue of expensive goods, namely wood, because wood is 100% used for constructing right now, since we don't have an industrialized economy. And there you go, 11,000 spent on wood to build our tooling workshops and our construction sector. If we were to say change over our construction method to iron framed buildings, then it's going to cost us tools and iron to build the buildings as well, not only wood and fabric. But because we're not really producing tools and iron, that would literally kill our economy to switch over to iron frame buildings. So we're going to switch over after we've got tools and iron built in our country. So we finished most most of the buildings that were in the queue. Let's start with the iron mine. You can only have iron mines and mines in general in certain states, so you cannot build them anywhere. So we cannot build them, for example, in Chubu, cannot build them in Kansai. That's why I'm going to be building them in Kanto, and I'm going to make sure that Kanto is the only state that I'm going to be building the iron mines for now, because the more iron mines, or the more mines in general that you have, or more of a specific building that you have in a province, then the higher the throughput bonus that you get for that particular good. I'm not sure what I'm talking about. I'll show you that in a few moments after we finish some of these iron mines. Take note though, it is going to cost us a lot to build these iron mines because of our current wood deficit. There you go, 22,000 spent on wood. That means we're getting a 10,000 ducats minus for every single week in which we're building these iron mines. It is a massive amount of money that we're wasting on this. That's why we're going to be building more wood camps or logging camps right afterwards. Let's build these bad boys over in Kansai. Gonna go up to 9 of them directly since we really need a lot of wood. You might be wondering, why did I not build more construction sectors so I can build more iron mines at the same time? That's because if I had 5 iron mines being built right now at the same time, it would literally kill my economy, since the 28,000 construction goods debuff that we get here for our economy would eventually be 100,000 construction goods that we would need to build 5 mines at the same time. And 100,000 means we're gonna go in our credit, and then once you start taking that many loans and you waste your gold reserve, you have to pay the interest, and the interest can end up being more than what you're actually getting from taxes, so you would end up in a debt spiral that you would never come out of. That's why, as Japan, I recommend 2, maximum 3 buildings being built at the same time is enough for the first 10-15 years. And we just got colonialization. Now let's go ahead and research mass communication so we get extra authority bonus. And let's also go to our politics, laws. Let's switch on over to colonial exploitation. Actually, let's go full bowls over here. We might as well get the best colonial policy where we exploit the natives to our own benefit. The good old British way, am I right? Whenever you get these kind of events popping off, check whichever of your interest groups you really want to make happier than they currently are. So in my case, because the shogunate's already super happy, I'm going to give this bonus to the industrialists. We have the industrialists as a marginalized interest group because they are right now extremely small, 2%, as is the petite bourgeoisie and the trade unions. Eventually these guys will grow in size the more we industrialize our country and the more we make our people a little bit smarter, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. You can see here that enacting colonial exploitation has a 52% chance of succeeding once the checkpoint is around. You get a checkpoint after every 160 days. Sometimes can be more, can be less, depending on your legitimacy and a few other things. But in 62 days, we're gonna find out if we are super lucky and we get this directly enacted from the first try, or if it's gonna take a few more debates before we actually get colonial exploitation. And we got it on the first try. Okay, that is actually pretty lucky. That means, oh, okay, that's pretty good. Then the Russians did not get this yet, so that means we can start colonizing this ourselves. So let's go to declared interest, establish colony, 1 over here, 1 over here. Oh my god, that is going to be great. 61 days. Let's go, boys, before the Russians do. So if we get these 2 colonized, we're going to get a ton more resources that we can use, which we desperately need right now, to be fair. We're also going to be researching academia so we can start building universities, and so we can unlock the private school system in the education system. At the moment, we do not have an education system, no schools. We want to get at least private schools so we can start educating our people, and so we can get the institution for education available, which we are lacking right now. We also want to go for level 3 law enforcement to get less penalties from state turmoil, but in order to do that also we need more bureaucracy, so that means we got to build some more government administration buildings, which at the same time have the benefit of improving the amount of tax that we get from our states. So it's basically win-win scenario. We're building only 1 right now since it is going to be expensive to build, and we still need to focus on our basic industry. That means tools, workshops, iron, and coal mines. And speaking of coal mines, I'm gonna make Kyushu my main coal mine date. Let's go with 5 coal mines in Kyushu. Remember to either add or cancel specific edict in your state. So right now, because I am building stuff in Kyushu, I enacted the road maintenance to make it 10% faster to build stuff in Kyushu. And I'll cancel this as soon as I stop building stuff in Kyushu. We can also see that Sakhalin and Ainu are being built at the same time. And it looks like we have a diplomatic play in the Sakhalin Sakhalin Island. The natives are basically revolting against us, and we have our goal of annexing Sakhalin, and they want to conquer Japanese Sakhalin. That means they want to become an independent nation. The problem is Great Qing might support them, or they might support us. Let's see what happens. In order to get ready for the war, in case we do have to go to war with the natives, we're gonna mobilize and we're gonna ship to the front a couple of our generals here. We don't need 2, but I'm gonna do 2 just because I can make this a little bit faster. And same thing happens in Hokkaido. Looks like the natives once more are gonna try to become an independent nation. They have 1 province left. Come on, you guys don't even stand a chance here. Go to our military again. Actually, I'm gonna sign this guy from Sakhalin. I'm gonna sign him to Hokkaido so I can crush Hokkaido first and then focus on Sakhalin. 2 arms. This war has started. Let's go with the advances over here, and let's see in the south as well. Once the diplomatic play is over, and that is right now, we start the war with the Ainu. Yes, destroy those native scumbags. Okay, so we won in Sakhalin. We just gotta wait for a little bit of time before we enforce our demands. If you hover over these 2 war icons here, it shows that the support for both of these countries is going down. Eventually, once they have very little support, they will capitulate, as Sakhalin just did, and we have complete control of Sakhalin. That means that it is a colonized area and it belongs to us. We can also incorporate Sakhalin now, making it a full state, kind of like coring states in EU4 essentially, and that also means we can take full advantage of this state from now on. Same thing goes for Hokkaido. As soon as these guys decide they want to capitulate, Buyashaka, no more issues in the north. I'm super happy I managed to get these 2 before the Russians did, to be fair. And that means I can also colonize Celebes now. It's going to take a lot longer though, since it's a little bit further. 303 days just to establish the first province, and then we have to work our way and get the rest of the island and get to war with the natives again once they revolt. There's more uncolonized areas like the one in Australia and the one in New Zealand, so the next area to colonize is going to be the New Zealand area in my case, after I manage to get Celebes. Shouldn't it just be called Sulawesi? That's the island of Sulawesi. So because we built tools, we built coal mines, we built iron mines, check out what it's like changing the logging camp production method from simple forestry to sawmill. We're getting 8,000 ducats in bonus. It is going to increase the price of tools, but because we are building more tools workshops right now, it's going to be flattened out and it's going to be a-okay for us. Plus, we went from -4 to plus 3,000 ducats. And this is only going to scale up the more we fix our economy and the more we balance out the amount of goods that we need with the amount of output and input for the specific building. I know that everything sounds a little bit complicated. Honestly, it's really not. I feel like Vicky 3 is a really easy game to understand and a lot easier than most Paradox games at launch. And I'm sure that most of you, after you've played the game a few times, you're gonna get the hang of it and you're gonna really enjoy it. Since it is a great casual game, it's not really focused on warfare, that's for sure. Like, the war mechanics definitely need a DLC. But the economic mechanics, the country management, and the depth that you have for that country management is really fun. So if you are looking into a country management, country simulator, this is a great game for you. Since we've also finished with the colonial law, let's go ahead and enact the National Guard. Nobody likes this, only 11% approval and 5% disapproval. So we will have to wait for a while before this actually gets approved by our government and enacted. I'm also going to be researching line infantry just in case I get attacked by anybody. I want to have professional units on par with the rest of the world rather than irregular troops. Sometimes you will get events that improve the chance of enacting specific laws, like here we get a 20% enactment success chance, but it might piss off certain interest groups, like the intelligentsia gets -3 approval. However, I don't give a schnaps about the intelligentsia. Let's go with the approval. We need the National Guard, boys. I'm also in the process of building a lot more iron mines. I queued up 10 more since I want to start building steel mills, which in turn means I can start building my own arms to switch over to the line infantry. So in order to have line infantry, we go to development, and you can see that it's going to cost us 11,000 in substitution because we need small arms, the price of which is going to skyrocket since we are not producing any small arms in our country right now. So in order to produce small arms, we go here, click on small arms, and build it wherever we want to build it. Small arms require steel, so before we do that, we have to build steel mills as well. So we're going to do 5 steel mills and 1 small arms building in Kansai for the time being. I actually want to build the steel mills first, so I'm going to alt and left click on the small arms building, or the arms industry, sorry. We've also researched the stock exchange, which means we have the ability to change our legislation to protectionism or free trade. But even though we have that ability, it doesn't mean that we can do it just yet, since we need to have enough support for that particular trade policy in order to enact it. That means it has to be a part of our laws. That means we might have to change the government, reform the government, allow some of the other interest groups into our government, and that might lead to a few rebellions later down the line. So for the time being, we're not going to change it just yet. We're going to still focus on fixing our economy and getting ready for whatever comes, just in case somebody decides to attack us, or just in case we need to attack somebody. And it's time to build some more construction sectors, as I'm sure that our economy can sustain a few more buildings being built at the same time now. So because these construction centers are at the bottom of the queue, we're going to go next page, and we're going to alt click to make sure they go to the front of the queue. And we now have the National Guard too. Okay, that was pretty fast. That means we can mobilize a lot more battalions. It gives less political movement radicalism and 10% revolution secession progress speed reduction. All of them are absolutely amazing. Now let's go back to our laws, see what else we can go for. I would prefer to get the dedicated police force, but this also has extremely low success chance. The problem is it has a lot of opposition from the shogunate himself. Shogunate is our biggest interest group that owns 41% of the clout in the Japanese shogunate. That being said, going for a professional army is going to be the best choice here. Even a national militia, the difference is this one's going to give us 517 battalions and a lot of conscription center levels, but the professional army is going to give us barracks. That means professional troops, not conscripts. So even though it's going to be less of these boys, they're going to be a lot better than the regular conscripts are. So let's go for the professional army. 61% approval chance is actually insanely high. We might even be able to get this after the first debate. We also have a very bad bureaucracy debuff here, minus 264. So let's build a few governing administrations again. Let's say 5 of them for now. And we also have a lead input shortage in the Japanese market. That means we need to produce more lead. So let's go to rural, and we only have 1 lead mine right now. So let's boost this up to 5 lead mines. Should be enough for the first 50 years really, because lead is not really going to be used too much unless we go to war and we need it for our arms industry. Ooh la la, boys, avec le professional army. That also means that we get 25% samurai political strength. That is a massive amount of political strength, and it's good because right now the shogunate has a huge amount of clout, 37%. It did go down after we enacted the professional army, and the samurai have 10% clout overall right now. I really want to get the dedicated police force enacted too. Let's try. It might end up with a big fat no, or might end up in a revolution. I hope that's not the case though. Constructing all of these coal mines and everything else that we need for our industry, it is taking a little bit of a strain on our economy. We already have 1 million in credit. That means we are paying 8,000 ducats in interest until we pay off that credit, and it's only getting worse for as long as we keep on building stuff. It is a little bit of a push, but it's worth it, and we really need to do this if we are to industrialize our country. And it's time to put down some more rebellions here. Haresh the Sulawesi. Well, we got the dedicated police force too. It only took us about, what, 3 years? Took us a while to get this one done, but it does mean we get less radicals from standards of living decrease, and that is a big one because standards of living is not great right now. We got 9.6. Basically, we are struggling as a nation, and we're gonna have to work on fixing that. All right, now that we got Sulawesi, we can make it an incorporated state, basically coring it up, and we can also get new colonies. Let's establish one in West Australia. Let's go for that actually, and might as well do New Zealand too. Let's go. It's also very important whenever you get your colonies that you start building ports in these colonies so they get market access. Without ports, these colonies have no market access, and as a consequence, you cannot reach the resources of these particular provinces. So we managed to get our colony here, as well as the colony in the south bit of Australia, well, the southwest bit of Australia. We're going to be building ports there. We're also in the process of getting more colonies in Africa, because everybody knows the Japanese had historical African colonies. Yeah, I'm doing it just for the memes. You got a problem with that? Finally, our boyos here decided that they want to go for protectionism, meaning we're going to have the ability to trade with the rest of the world, and we're also going to have the ability to tax the rest of the trade with the rest of the world. So that's going to fix a lot of problems that we have. And opening trade with the world also means we can import cheaper stuff than the stuff that we have in our country, as well as export the excess that we have in our country. So our economy is going to skyrocket once that happens. And we also have our first railway network done. We got one in each of the main states, Chubu, Kanto, Kansai. We're going to build a railway system in the entire country, and we're going to focus on getting more railways in Kansai, since we are going to need the extra infrastructure over here. Oh my freaking god, it took like 5-6 years to enact this. Things are about to change, boys. Things are about to change, because now we're going to become a real great power, okay? Oh my god, look at that juicy trade screen. Oh, I missed you, trade screen. I missed you so much. Let's see what good trades we got here. We're going to get some fabric. There you go. Oh my god, look at all those those ducats there. Honestly, it was ridiculously hard getting this enacted. Ridiculously hard. But it's worth it now, okay? Everything is fine, boys. Look at all that dye we're gonna get over here. Oh god, I forgot to build more bureaucracy buildings. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna fix that. Hold up a second. Oh, boys, we got central archives. This is really great. It's gonna give us 25 taxation capacity and the ability to increase the max home affairs institution level. As you know, we do struggle with our taxes in Japan, so this is gonna be of help. We also can enact a mercantilism, and I'm gonna go for that actually now, since this is gonna give us 15% tariffs on imports and 5 on export, compared to the 10 and 10 that we have right now from protectionism. Mercantilism is significantly better and will boost up our economy quite a bit. And we managed to get mercantilism. That was surprisingly fast. It's totally worth it just checking your export import screen, since by simply clicking on a few buttons here and getting a few new trade routes, I'm getting massive amounts of money, not only from the tariffs but from the trade good itself also. There you go, Qing market 13 ducats from giving them paper, which apparently they don't have much of, same for the Brits, and 10 ducats from the Dutch from giving them our porcelain. Spanish won our guns apparently, okay? I'm wondering what Spain wants to do with those guns. Are they gonna be reconquering South America maybe? Let's see. Honestly, in this game, if you don't get a rebellion during your playthrough, then that is a huge achievement unto itself. And I'm kind of proud that I didn't get a rebellion this time as the Japanese. My last 3 attempts when I was doing the test runs before I recorded the video, I got quite a few rebellions. But luckily, knowing how to handle your interest groups and how to keep your people in check is really vital. We only have 2.2 million population radicalized compared to 1 million loyalists. So that is insane considering the fact that I've been taxing the shit out of everybody. I've had this on max taxation since the start of the game. But because I gave them the goods that they needed, and because I have a really strong police force, they're never gonna rebel. They're too scared to do it. That's how you really need to rule your countries in Victoria 3. You gotta make them scared of you. That's the trick right there. And not only that, boys, but we also managed to establish a semi-colonial empire with the little colonies here and there, like Bougainville, New Zealand, Australia, Indonesia, and so on. I feel like Japan is truly a unique nation because it does let you learn exactly how your economy works, since you need to build up every single layer of your economy in order not to become a failed state, which is not the case with most countries that are not isolated from the start and have access to the global trade network. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, you're gonna love my Victoria 3 Prussia run right over here. And I want to give a massive thank you to all of my patrons, channel members, and Twitch subscribers. I would not be able to do this without all your support.